Senator Lindsey Graham joins us live here in Washington. That last one, meeting with the Chinese, I mean, what kind of song and dance do we tell them to convince that this is a good deal? I mean, they should buy more of our debt unless we raise the interest rate through the sky. And
well, that's the point. That was a very good report, by the way. The point is that where do we borrow money from? We sell treasury notes, and who buys? The Chinese and other countries. And they're eventually going to stop buying our treasury notes.
Unless we really jack up the price.
Right. If you raise interest rates.
But then we're cooked.
Then we're cooked because that creates inflation. We're all going to be California. You want to know where America's going to go? Look at California. And here's what I would say to your audience. Some people suggest that democracies are doomed to fail because we, the people, will never say no to ourselves. In California, they had a proposal to cut spending and raise taxes. It was disapproved. So what do we need to do? We don't need to raise taxes now. We need to keep taxes low and control spending. But $1 trillion deficit is unbelievable. I never thought I would live to see my nation, our nation, be $1 trillion in debt for a single year.
Do you think, though, I mean, as we hear these numbers, and you see the president out and he acts so confident, he says we're on the way. I'm thinking to myself, when he sees these numbers, is he freaked? I mean, like, where does he think we're going to get the money to pay for this? Because if he's got a solution, I'd love to hear it.
Well, where do we pay for it, and how do we fix it by creating a health care system run by the government that has $1 trillion more debt?
But that's another issue. I mean, even if we didn't have that, we got a big problem. Forget health care. We still got $1 trillion deficit, and we've got personal income down, corporate income down, and we're doing these bailouts, and the economy is sluggish at best.
I think the big difference between me and the president is he believes that Washington can generate job creation by spending money. I believe the way you create jobs is you empower people to hire folks in the private sector. And this stimulus package is the root of all evil here. The $787 billion that we talked about on your show that no one read has come back to haunt this country. It's put us in a deep hole. It hasn't created jobs, and it never will, because it's mostly about government, not job creation. That started it. Throw health care on top, a cap and tax system that would cost the average American $800 a year in additional energy cost, and bankrupt manufacturing. What he is doing is breathtaking, quite frankly.
Do you think he is convinced he's on the right track?
Absolutely.
Okay, so he's not sitting there thinking like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that.
No, absolutely not.
No, so he's not having any buyer's remorse on this.
You know, I wish people would listen during the campaign. When he said we need to redistribute the wealth, he wasn't kidding. He is not kidding. He really does believe the government can only provide health care, and if the government is not involved in the healthcare business, the private sector won't be honest. He believes.
Yeah, but
that.
Come on. I mean, let's look at that. Yeah, but except the private sector. I mean, let's talk about the insurance companies. They've been up to their eyeballs in making this a bigger problem.
Well,
I mean, the private sector. The private sector. I'm not saying that the public sector is the answer, but the private sector hasn't exactly.
Sure.
I mean, you've got insurance agency telling people how to get health care. There's something fundamentally wrong with that.
The third-party payment is the fundamental problem here. But competition regulates quality and price better than government control.
But even before we get to the question of health care, we have such a huge financial problem. I mean, that's August or that's July. I mean, right now we've got $1 trillion deficit and no way to pay for it.
It'd be 1.8 by the end of the year, and we're spending $450 billion on interest payments on the debt. We're spending almost on the amount of interest equals the defense budget. This is historic. No one's ever seen this in American history, and it has a bad ending if we don't change it.
Well, but that's the other thing is how do you reverse it? That's
well,
if it is, that's the terrifying.
Here's a wild idea. Don't spend any more than you take in.
Well,
it works at home. It works at home. It will work up here.
Except we have a 9.5% unemployment. There's a lot of people who, by nature of the fact that they have no income, have to spend more.
But let me tell you, Greta, people at home are tightening their belts. We're not. We're exploding the deficit. It's going to affect people at home, and it's going to prevent people from creating jobs. So we need to control spending, but also have programs that will create jobs. I don't mind spending money to help jumpstart the economy. We're not spending money to jumpstart the economy. We're growing the government.
Senator, if you'll stand by, we're back in 2 minutes. All right, good, sir. Up next, Senator Graham goes on the record about day one of Judge Sotomayor's confirmation hearings. Senator Graham said something to Judge Sotomayor that's grabbing headlines. What? We'll let him tell you himself. Plus,